Okay, fuck it. Hello, and welcome back to the Dinner and a Movie podcast. Jesus Christ.
It's all gone so well so far.
Oh, man. So, we have been ill and working, and it has been just too much for us to even do this fucking very easy form of content. So we have really just been laying around watching fucking sitcoms for the last couple months.
Yeah, it's all my brain has been able to handle, the sitcoms.
Yeah. It's been a lot.
Yeah. Anything longer than 20 minutes cannot keep my interest at this point.
That's what you're looking for. You're looking for 20 minutes, to 20, maybe 24 at a stretch. Circular, complete stories.
Yep.
Very little stakes. And you don't even need quality. So we watched the Friends reunion.
Very nice segue, thank you for that. It was two very different reactions to finding out that there was a Friends reunion in this house.
Well, there was two very different reactions, and then I basically had the same reaction the whole way through of, I don't fucking care. I don't like Friends. That's a well-documented fact in just my personal life, not really on this channel yet, but...
You're a freak. I love Friends. I grew up on Friends, have watched every episode multiple times, can watch it without actually having to watch it, which is always a plus, because, you know, you don't have to fully engage your brain, it's always something I'm going to want to watch.
So you were very into the announcement initially.
I was so excited when I saw that there was a Friends reunion.
You were like, there's gonna be a new episode.
I was so pumped for it. I was like, yes!
In your
all
head,
the main cast are coming back.
In your head, I think it was gonna be a Friends movie, essentially, right?
I suppose. I mean, they'd hinted at ages for a Friends movie. I never actually expected it to happen. So when they said that there was a Friends episode, I was like, wait, no, I've been burnt before. I'm not gonna believe this. And then Jennifer Aniston posted a little snippet on her Instagram page. I was like, oh, this is actually for real.
And it had the set there.
And they did it like a little teaser trailer when you were like, oh, episode. And then I saw the next clip and I was like, hang on a minute. No. That's not an episode. They're just talking. You gypped me, you bastards.
And what a reunion. And it speaks to that fucking like 20-year nostalgia cycle and oh god, fucking what was the point of this?
I mean, I still enjoyed it. Like,
let's set the scene. So it opens. Was the first bit like the end of the last episode?
We're talking
or
the
did
trailer.
it start with Ross walking in?
I think it started with Ross walking in.
Yeah, so it starts on the set and they have like a dumb orchestral version of the Friends theme tune played in like fucking 1/4 the speed because of like every moment of this you could have guessed was gonna happen because you are a cynical person and you know exactly what the fuck is happening here. So they've spent all this time and money getting all the old sets out of fucking storage, I presume, and then rebuilding what got either lost, stolen, or destroyed.
Yeah.
And what do they do with it? Fuck all.
They play a quiz. Which, if you're a Friends fan, you know is a very famous scene.
Yeah, they do some recreational things.
Yeah.
But it just... What the fuck was the point? Like, when they did it on Seinfeld, right? At least they made it for an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm to, like, close the loop. Because that's Larry David's show and he helped write the best years of Seinfeld.
I mean, realistically, there was nothing more to say about Friends. When I thought there was an episode, I was like, oh, you're going to get to see them with kids that are all grown up and all that stuff. This, there was nothing to say, realistically. Nothing at all.
Well, you say that, but like, even the idea that they'd be back in the same flat. I didn't realise they all moved out.
Yeah.
Because I don't watch the show. But the idea that they'd somehow have regressed and just been these same shitty people 20 years later, having had no character development at all. In 20, like, when did it end?
It ended in 2004. It started in 1994 and ended in 2004.
So yeah.
So 17 years, which blew my mind when I heard this, because honestly, that last episode feels like yesterday to me. I can't believe it's been 17 years, like, and in my mind, none of them have aged that much. It's not that big a deal. They only finished a few years ago. What's the big deal? And then you see them.
Then you see them.
And
they soften the blow a bit. Because they start with Schwimmer, who, like, I don't like David Schwimmer. I didn't like Ross in the episodes of Friends I have seen. But, like, and I understand that he's meant to be, like, a pretty decent fucking kind of dude.
Yeah, I mean, in hindsight.
Like, no, just Schwimmer, not.
Oh, Schwimmer himself. Okay.
Not Ross. Ross is a fucking awful creep. But, like, but Schwimmer himself is meant to be very nice. He's meant to be like a decent producer and shit like that.
Yeah, he directed a whole bunch of Friends and then went on to direct other stuff as well.
But I don't give a fuck about him at all. And anytime something like, not awful, but mildly bad happens to him in public, I get a little bit of ha moment out of it.
Why?
Because he's fucking Ross. Like, at the end of the day, he's fucking David Schwimmer. Like, look at his face.
Shrimp. Love the shrimp. I did sit there and was pondering whether there was, like, a conscious choice to who they had come in first.
Well, because he has not aged much.
He's aged, but he's aged.
He looks pretty good.
He looks pretty good. Like, yeah, it's 17 years on. It looks like it's 17 years on, but he's aged well.
And then who do they have next?
I want to say Jennifer Aniston.
It may well have
I
been.
want to say it was Aniston. Then Cox.
Yeah.
No! It was Schwimmer, Kudrow. It was Phoebe next.
Yes.
It was
yes,
Phoebe
it
next.
was.
Then it was Courtney.
Who, like, Kudrow, like, holds up pretty well again.
I have to say, I always used to think that Kudrow was the least attractive of the three main women, and that she looked the oldest. Now, completely changed my mind. She has held up well. She looks fire for, like, I'm sure she's one of the oldest as well.
I mean, I'm sure there is a somewhere statement that you used to, like, more so, I would say, idolize the,
Yes.
the Rachels and
Oh, yeah, 100%. I'm a Rachel girl.
Monicas of the world, and now you are near entirely surrounded by fucking Phoebes.
This is true. This is very true.
Just weird alternative, like, even just light alternative, fucking ditzy, fucking.
I mean, that's just me, essentially, at this point. If I'm going to have picked out personality-wise, I probably have turned into a Phoebe.
So yeah, there may be something in there. How now you're like, yes, get it, bitch.
Yeah, no, she has aged really well.
But like, what's his name? Fucking
Joey?
Yeah, Joey has.
Matt LeBlanc.
Matt LeBlanc has aged, but he's just aged, and he's nicely aged.
Yeah, no, he's. You know what? There's gonna be memes out there where you see him. He's a bit tubbier now, but he just looks like he is loving life. He looks like that guy that's at home every night eating good food.
Yeah, he's doing a job that is so easy that a fucking near incomprehensible racist did it for like fucking 18 years with no real upsets, even though there really should have been. Right? And that's how easy his life is now.
Yeah.
And, yeah, he just gets to fucking sit around and eat, like, a lot of cheese and drive cars.
and you know what? Good luck to him. He looks like he's loving life. And he's different when you look at the contrast between the two, but you're just like, yeah, no, you've grown up, you've aged, it's fine.
Yeah, he looks like a guy who's aged about 17 years.
Yeah.
And then...
This was unfair of them, I feel like, because they literally got Courtney Cox. Monica, they got somewhere in the middle. I think she was midway.
I don't think they had like a solo shot of her shot from the front because they didn't want people to be fucking like, oh my god.
We're not gonna like go into.
I will say this. There is a massive fucking reason why I am very against like extensive or even generally just moderate fucking like cosmetic surgery outside of like people with like deformities that they can't get past and shit like that. Like that's where I can understand it a little more. But when you have like genuinely just fucking like very nice looking attractive people getting it because their fucking brains are so damaged by the constant fucking like attention that's given to their physical appearance and fucking shit like that. If you get any kind of cosmetic surgery, 20 years later, you will just look like someone who 20 years before had cosmetic surgery because they all look like Pete Burns.
The thing is, I'm an opposing side to this. Like, I have no problem with someone that's going to get fillers or cosmetic surgery or whatever they want to do. Like, if I had the money, there's not to say that I'd probably get everything done. You know what I'm like? I'd be like, yes, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this.
I would be absolutely trying to talk you out of every step.
I mean, I say that, but when it came to it, I probably wouldn't, because I'd be chicken shit and I wouldn't actually do it.
And you don't want to look like a tiny fucking 4 foot high Pete Burns.
I do not want to look like a tiny 4 foot bloody Pete Burns. But yeah, you can tell she's had some work done, shall we say.
She had some work done and just fucking, oh man. Like, but that's just the thing. Like, you can see what the work of like makeup artists can do compared to the work of cosmetic surgeons, because when she's out in the fucking like in the regalia in front of the fountain, which we'll fucking get to it.
We're getting there.
But she looks very good. She looks like she's aged, but it doesn't look like the result of just fucking like a decade old fucking like Botox shot. It looks like just fucking age. And if you're using makeup at that point in life to get to that, then damn man, like just stay away from these fucking like people trying to pump poison in you.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I'd just like to say they all looked amazing, especially like they all looked amazing.
Well, yeah, because like fucking Matthew Perry looked pretty good, but he sounded very strange.
Well, this is the next part I was going to get to, is that Matthew Perry was last, and I do feel that was
Chandler.
Yeah, and has aged, and people, like, because there was a lot of comments after about, is he okay?
Yeah, no, it like, before the thing had even gotten to, like, the fucking 10-minute mark, I had Googled Matthew Perry stroke.
Yeah.
And immediately the answer came up, which is apparently he had dental surgery. Unfortunately close.
Yeah. So a lot of people were concerned because he has had some well-documented problems with addiction in the past, and people were like, has he relapsed? Or you had to ask the question. If you've watched it, you know he sounds a bit strange. He's not the Chandler you would remember. Like, he looks like he's gone through some shit in life at this point.
Yeah.
But it turns out, yeah, he just had dental surgery, and I thought it was a bit mean of them. I'm going to be completely honest. It was like they pulled him out as the trump card for everyone to go, oh, is he okay? Like,
I didn't get that impression. I thought he was just last because, like, just from my knowledge of Friend, it's like the Anne Chandler-ness of it, like...
I mean, not really. I wouldn't say out of them there's anyone that's more popular than the rest. Like, it wasn't they were going to bring out the star of the show at the end, because there wasn't anyone in particular.
Or more so in that within his role, I'm led to believe, because Lord knows he's not, but as the funny one. Like, the one with, like,
I'm putting a face, by the way. This is the thing problem with podcasts. You can't see that I pulled a face when he said that.
But there's the notion of him like buttoning up a bit, say.
I mean,
like they'll give him the line at the end to like fucking ad break that shit or like
yeah,
whatever.
I mean,
that's why
maybe slightly more than the rest. Then again, I wouldn't say so.
But that's why I thought they brought him out last.
That's because you've never watched Friends.
No, I've watched enough Friends to hate it. So they start with that, and they're just going around fucking.
Well, to start with, it is literally just the lovey-dovey. Oh my god,
It's you
kind of thing about it, which is nice. It's fine. There was no point to this program. If they'd have actually done an episode, which I'm not sure would have been a good idea,
No.
They wrapped it up nicely. They didn't need to do an episode. But as a Friends fan, I'm gonna be all for it. This didn't need to happen. It was just nice to see them together. There was no other point to this program, and that they spent a lot of time just like, hey.
Well, that was it. Like, which would have been fine. But there was so much fucking money spent on this goddamn
there was a
thing.
lot of money.
Like, and just fucking obvious, it was the bougiest fucking look at my budget shit.
I mean, when Justin Bieber and Cara Delevingne turned up, I was like, why?
For no reason.
Why?
For no reason.
Apparently he's a huge fan. I spent a couple of minutes on Facebook today reading an article about why Justin Bieber was in the Friends reunion. And it's because he's a massive fan. Don't judge me. I was on a bus. I had nothing else to do.
But we'll get there. So they're milling about the old set, which at this point is empty, and they start just naturally, I guess, doing old bits because evidently they have like very little to say to each other at this point.
This is the thing. It didn't feel like these were the actors actually being themselves. It was the actors basically playing the characters, but not.
I got
it
the
just all
sense
seemed very
that
fake.
I got the sense that it's like when any kind of forced reunion happens, where people just kind of end up going back into the roles they once filled because they have nothing else to do. Because
it's just your natural reaction.
It's the dynamics that you are used to in that situation. Yeah. So they start after a bit of this goes on, they go out to the fountain.
The famous fountain.
The famous fountain.
From the title
which,
sequence.
For the record, is not danced in at all.
I mean, that would have... Can you imagine getting Courtney Cox and under the water?
She'd melt. But, that was a missed opportunity, I thought. How did you feel?
I didn't expect that they were going to get the guys in there to dance. Come on, man. They weren't going to do that and have them sit there sopping wet for the next 40 minutes. It would have been...
Do you know how much money was spent to get these 6 fucking bozos together just to mill about?
Stop slagging off my friends. Stop it. Be nice.
To mill about and watch people fucking dress up for them. And to be all fucking...
Are you saying they should have paid their dues and got in the pool?
Yes! Get wet for me. You fucking overpaid bastards. So they're in the fountain, and then I heard the fucking noise of a man that I knew would impact my already lessened enjoyment of this special. The voice of the one, the only, the cat-like James Corden.
I also don't have a problem with James Corden, just to throw in there.
How?
I loved Gavin and Stacey.
Okay, but that was 10 years ago.
I've not seen him in anything since, so that's where I know him from. I've never watched him as a host, really.
Or as a lesbian vampire.
Nope, never watched that. I do own it somewhere.
Oh god.
I do. It's in my many DVDs. But I've never actually watched it, not gonna lie. But, I mean, he's fine.
He's not.
I mean, he's not offensive.
Yes, he is. They could have put someone with fucking Kit Charisma up there.
Who should it have been?
Who should it have been? I don't know.
Gunther! They should have got Gunther to interview them.
Evidently they couldn't because he phoned in.
Yeah, he was not available.
Yeah, he was awful as a host. I really don't like him as a host. He just got in the way.
I didn't feel he did really. Like, to me, he's just inoffensive. I'm not going to sit there and say, oh my god, I love James Corden so much, I watch anything he's in. But if he's there, he's fine.
But even as someone who doesn't like Friends, I got annoyed that he was, like, taking up the time of just them interacting, which is what anyone was there for.
Yeah. I mean, you weren't there for Corden, to be honest.
He's so slow and fucking just meandering as a host.
As I said, other than this, where he was just there, I can't say much more about him. I've never seen him as a host, so I don't really have any kind of... I've never seen him. He may be great, he may be shit. Never watched it, can't judge. In this, he was just there. He
was just there, but they could have even just found someone who they already knew had, like, a fucking rapport with the people, because the times where he would even try and interact with any of them, like, the fucking flow of anything would just grind to an irritating fucking nasally halt.
There was just one point where he calls Jennifer Aniston and he just goes, oh, Jen, and I'm like, it just felt so fake and forced and wrong. It was just like...
I imagine that's what he's like with his real friends.
Yeah.
Fake and forced and awful.
Be nice.
Say it louder.
No. But...
And so then you get this thing where they're cutting between that and back in the studio, which is now filled with people, and like you said, they're recreating a famous scene.
Yes, so it's the scene where Monica and Rachel have a quiz against Chandler and Joey to see whether they get their flat back, basically. Or they lose their flat originally, sorry. And it's the quiz that they do in there, that they've recreated and just changed the questions, basically. But they even act in the same way within that scene. They do the same mannerisms and the same kind of... They hit the same points in it, basically. Pointless.
Absolutely pointless.
Absolutely pointless.
Like, to have built that entire set back and got an audience just so you can have a bit where people are laughing in the trailer for your fucking reunion show. That's the only reason they did it. To make people maybe believe that there would be this episode of, like, best bits. Because they also have, like, what bits do they do? They do the bit with the chairs.
They do the bit with the chairs.
They do the quiz.
They do the quiz. They do the famous scene where Phoebe finds out that Monica and Chandler are sleeping together for the first time. My eyes! My eyes! That one. Shut up. And they did do more, but
they did, like, they did...
Oh, they did the scene where Rachel and Ross kiss for the first time.
Well, yeah, they did a couple of these, like, genuine, just, like, script read-throughs.
Yeah.
But it's just the 6 of them, not 5.
6 of them.
Sat round the table like in a fucking... like in a Hollywood Reporter fucking video. Just reading it. And it's...
The thing is with me, if they had done an episode, great, I would have been happy. In hindsight, would I have been happy? I would have felt like it's spoilt. They wrapped it up nicely.
Well, this is what the creators were saying.
Yeah, they did wrap it up nicely. To go back now and have to undo that and then have them lose their happy endings and then... Because you have to do something for there to be a storyline. So, great. They didn't do that. Fine. They should have just sat them in a room, the 6 of them, and just let them talk. I felt like... So maybe they could have gone a bit deeper into it. Actually talk about the journey they went on through that 10 years. Because they went from being completely unknown actors to the most famous people in the world. Matthew Perry suffered with addiction. Like, they all suffered certain things. And they
chatted a little bit about that first point. They definitely didn't go into any addiction. Especially with Perry sounding the way he did.
Yeah.
But, I know exactly what you mean. And the whole thing just felt rushed, I guess.
Scripted and like a non-episode episode.
The pace was so fucking weird. It was constantly like jumping around and very little tractions gained anywhere, and that you're constantly just feeling like there's more interesting shit on either side of like the clips they're showing you, especially when they cut away to just people around the world who really love Friends, and it's not celebrities.
No,
it's not.
I actually personally quite liked that part. I did, because hokey as it may sound, and I will get judgment and I will get mockery, so I'm not looking in his direction right now. But Friends is one of those shows, especially if you're around my age, where it was a comfort for me. It was like if you're going through a bad time, or it was something you could put on and you were guaranteed a nice, cozy, funny 20 minutes that with people that you kind of ended up knowing and thinking of as your friends. So when I liked that part. There were a lot of people that have benefited from this program. The look in your eye right now.
Does that have any place? Like, if they did like a show that I loved, like say if they did like a fucking League of Gentlemen reunion or like a Black Books reunion.
Yeah.
It would be a lot smaller, but
yeah.
But if they did that, and it was like an hour and a half, and then they filled up 5 minutes of that with like just some dickheads from around the world who really love that show, I would not be enthralled with that use of time. I mean, especially with like fucking League of Gentlemen. I imagine if they did anything now, they'd just do a full thing using all of the characters, because they're very creative people.
I mean, but you have more scope to do that with a program like the League of Gentlemen. Like, Friends was a very like, I love Friends. Let's just clarify this. Huge fan. I have started to rewatch it because of the reunion. I love it that much. It is pure comfort to me. But it is your bog standard sitcom. There's not much they can do without ruining it for a lot of people.
Yeah, like, the idea that this came after Seinfeld started airing is madness.
I've never watched Seinfeld. I've seen you watch bits of it, and I've not been as big a fan.
Seinfeld is like fucking Friends with any edge or fucking, like, you know, principle as a comedy. Like, Seinfeld is a reaction to all of those fucking 80s sitcoms, and Friends is just a continuation of them. And like, there was even a point where there was one of the more interesting little fucking segments was when they chatted to the three creators.
Yeah.
Is it Geffen and
Kaufman, Crane, Martha Kaufman, Kevin Bright, David Crane.
Yeah. They were chatting to those people and they were just saying, yeah, and we were just all living in New York in the time, and I said a line which was just, yeah, we watched Seinfeld a lot, and he just gave me daggers of looks.
Yes.
At that moment.
Because I can never bring up Friends without you bringing up fucking Seinfeld. Every time.
Because it would be like, it's like any sketch show after Monty Python is gonna get compared to Monty Python, because Monty Python took what a sketch show was and did something like better with it.
Yeah.
And so when you just have these fucking like very down to earth, not even like a job located sitcom of just people's fucking houses.
Yeah.
It's always gonna come up, and especially if they're in New York.
But I've never seen Seinfeld, so I can't argue. I can't argue in defense of Friends when I've never seen Seinfeld. It is unfair.
And like, Courtney Cox was on Seinfeld for an episode before she was on Friends.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I knew that Lisa Kudrow was in Married with Children or something like that.
Well, the most interesting person's career outside of Friends is probably Perry's.
Schwimmer's done some stuff.
Schwimmer's done some stuff. Aniston's done some stuff to the same extent, I'd say. Like, she was in Office Space. She's done, like, a couple of, like... Horrible Bosses should have been a good movie, and I don't think it's necessarily her fault that it wasn't a good movie, but it's not a good movie. Like, it had all the pieces in place.
Yeah, I watched it once and have never watched it again and remember very little about it, so clearly wasn't a great movie.
Creepy old actor, old sitcom actress, fucking whoever the other one was.
I'm trying to think who it was, because I know Charlie Day, Jason Bateman.
No, the other boss, yeah. It was Charlie Day, Jason Sudeikis, and fucking... Jason Bateman. Who, like... Fuck Sudeikis. But the other two have been in really great fucking sitcoms already by that point.
Yeah.
And then... and like, how did that film suck?
Yeah. Like, I remember nothing about it.
That could have been like it should have been like a Seven Psychopaths type deal. Great cast, fucking dark concept, fucking... And they just squandered it.
They ruined it. But this is the thing, like, I like Aniston as... I'm not going to say she's the greatest actress in the world, but she's very watchable. And I like those kind of mindless...
I like
comedies
it when she's
and that kind of thing.
I hate... That's it. I hate the films she generally does, but when she's in a film that I was probably going to like anyway, she's great in them.
Yeah.
Schwimmer will annoy me always.
You either love or you hate Schwimmer, I think.
Yeah.
And... It's a very divisive.
But Perry, like Matthew Perry, has done so many weird fucking pilots or like single seasons of sitcoms with like really high concepts. He's in Fallout New Vegas. He's done a bunch of voice work for weird shit. Like, I do appreciate him somewhat.
He's a genuinely funny man.
Matt LeBlanc has only been Joey.
I love Matt LeBlanc.
And then he's just like fucking stumbled his way through the rest of life off having been Joey.
I mean, the best thing I've seen him in since Friends...
Is it him in Episodes?
It's Episodes.
Yeah.
Episodes, I have to say, genuinely funny. And we haven't watched it together yet. And I haven't watched more than the first or second series, I think. So there is more that I haven't seen.
Is there? I thought it was a short show.
It is, but I'm sure I've either only watched the first series and there's 2, or I've only watched the first 2 and there's 3, or something along those lines. That he's good in that. Like, he's just taking he just looks like someone you would have a laugh with if you met him. Do you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't take himself too seriously. He doesn't mind taking the piss out of himself. In Episodes, they were quite brutal to him at times, and he just plays along.
I think there's just an acknowledgement that he's basically only going to get work based on the fact that he was Joey.
Yeah, because I can't...
Including the sitcom Joey.
Yeah, I can't name a film he's been in, to be honest, can you?
I'm sure he's done like little cameo spots in 90s gross out comedies, or like fucking the late 90s, early 90s ones, based on the fact that he was Joey. And it's not a main role, it's just a cameo because he was Joey.
I honestly can't even think of one.
I'm going to take a drink. Let's pause the record a second, just have a little Google. So we just looked up Matt LeBlanc's filmography. Do you want to go through the post-Friends?
Okay, so we'll do from 94. So we've got Looking Italian. Doesn't say what that is.
I feel like that was probably... Yeah, I feel like that was probably made before he was in Friends.
Oh, okay, look, there you go. It's listing Friends, so we'll go through everything after that. Ed, which I don't know what that is.
Nope.
Yep, no idea. Never heard of it. Red Shoe Diary 7, Burning Up. It says just segment Kidnap. Okay. Then we've got Lost in Space, which is actually, in hindsight, I do remember him being in that, and I have seen it.
That last one sounds like a weird, like, from like the independent VHS market.
No, Red Shoe Diaries was a famous, like, soft porn type.
Oh, distributed by Playboy Entertainment.
Yeah, Red Shoe Diaries was like this famous...
Skinemax.
I don't know if it came from like a book or something, but it was one of those ones you'd be able to find on Channel 5 at like 11 o'clock at night on Friday.
A modern Mills and Boons.
Yeah, but more graphic, basically.
Mod.
Yeah. So he was in that after Friends, which is very surprising. Okay. Lost in Space, we said Bon Jovi's Say It Isn't So, which was a music video, short video. Charlie's Angels, again, I remember him as a cameo in that. All the Queen's Men, I don't remember that.
Nope.
Charlie's Angels, the sequel. Jonah Hex, don't remember. Oh no, okay, he was executive, he didn't star in that. And Lovesick, which I've never heard of. So that's the extent of his film career.
Which, again, like, I will stipulate that all of these things were only because he was Joey.
Yeah. Purely. He's just playing a different form of Joey in all of these movies.
Yeah. So, like, I'm fairly sure, because he's an actor in Friends, right?
Yeah.
Like, the character is.
Yeah, Joey, the character, is an actor in Friends.
And I'm fairly sure that his character in Charlie's Angels is also an actor.
Yeah.
Who looks like Joey.
Yeah. Yeah. Sensing a theme?
Sensing a theme.
I mean, but he's fine with that. He doesn't claim to be anything else.
No, he's not.
And like I said earlier, he's just loving his life.
He seems the most comfortable with where he's at, maybe other than Cujo.
Yeah.
Who's had a comeback, ironically, after her show.
The comeback.
Yeah. Fucking doing bits. But let's just go back, because, like, I guess my general thesis of this episode is that even if I was a fan of Friends, I still feel that I wouldn't have enjoyed this reunion, really.
And I am a fan of Friends. And it's not just that I didn't enjoy it, it was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I mean, like, why? It was not necessary. Unless you were going to do something else with it. Like I said, stick them in a room for an hour and just let them talk. I would have preferred to see that. Quite honestly. Like, it was overly staged. You didn't get anything. It was just flaff for an hour and a half.
Yeah, so they had a fashion segment where you just it was all really badly framed. Mm-hmm. Where they showed, like, a couple of outfits from the
Holiday Armadillo.
From the show.
Yeah.
And they were worn by Cara Delevingne and
for some reason.
And Justin Bieber.
Because he's a fan.
And was there another one?
And then Matt LeBlanc came out at the end.
Matt LeBlanc came out at the end.
But I feel like it was just, I don't know.
And that was just a fucking time waste.
Completely. Honestly, I was like, why?
So they could have more star-studded bits.
Yeah.
And then you have Reese Witherspoon.
Talking about her character, yeah.
And that was just a time waste.
But at least she was part of the show. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you've seen Friends, you remember her playing Rachel's sister. And she was good as Rachel's sister. It was a good moment in the show. So, fair enough, they had her back. Cool.
See, my favourite story, and I won't be able to tell it word for word, but my favourite story from Friends, other than watching Matt LeBlanc's shoulder get dislocated.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is fucking...
Oof, that would look painful.
They had some bloopers, which was nice. But back to it. My favourite story that I'd heard before this from Friends was hearing Paul Rudd
right.
talk about... because he's on, and it's the first... Paul Rudd has a bit which he does on Conan, which he pretends to bring in a clip from whatever he's been working on, and he just shows a clip from the 1988 film Mac and Me, and it's the same clip every time.
Yeah, you've shown me this.
It's great. It's such a great bit.
Everyone loves Paul Rudd.
It's the best thing he's done. But the first time he did this was around the Friends finale, and the way he set up the bit was he snuck out like a clip. He got a videotape, he snuck it out, and he's brought in a clip of the very, very secret Friends finale.
Yeah.
And but he's talking about his time like during the filming of the last episode.
Yeah.
Because by this point it's already shot and it's edited. And he's talking about, like, everyone crying on set and fucking going up to each other and being like, oh my god, it's been 10 years, and him just fucking walking around like, we did it, guys.
Yay!
Because how long had he been there? Like a year?
Maybe? I think a year.
But yeah, that's my favourite story of him just being awkward, just being like, yeah, we did it.
Yay to me.
But yeah, it was just super docile, and yeah, the best bits were just those 6 interacting, and I think that also speaks to generally the lacking in Friends, the show, and in this, which is the writing's fucking awful. But what the true and the idea that they fucking, because you made a comment when they started talking to the writers,
Yeah.
and you were like, imagine that you created a show. And then fucking 20 years later, you are in the audience
Yeah.
while other people are being celebrated for your show. And I think that kind of gets at the point of my problem with Friends, why you love Friends, why a lot of people love Friends, is really the all of the glory of that show deserves to be the casting directors.
Yeah.
Because they found 6 people who, like, I don't really enjoy them as much as most, but they're enjoyable to watch interact with each other.
Yeah, 100%.
And the show and the jokes are kind of fucking bad, but they're able to kind of get through that by being very likable on screen as a 6. And everything that got in the way of watching that during the special just fucking missed the point and was bad.
Ooh, that's reminded me of my, actually, I don't know how we've not spoken about this since, is that they announced, and I don't know how much of this I believe.
Are they rebooting Joey?
Please. No, I'm joking, that was fucking atrocious. And I love Friends, but my god. Was that Ross and Rachel, i.e. David Schwimmer and Jennifer Aniston, actually had the hots for each other. There was a secret love
Yes.
that they did not declare, and this is where all this passionate chemistry came from. And I'm like, really?
Nope.
Wasn't she not dating someone else on that day? On Valentine's? She was engaged? Wasn't she?
I don't know, or care, or believe them. And all I know is that they were able to line up 2 clips of both actors looking wistfully at the camera.
They did.
Next to each other, and that was it.
And then they put together all these behind the scenes parts from the original filming of them just like looking lovingly at each other, and they're probably just sitting there daydreaming about some shit and they've edited it. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's nice to think that they did. Kind of. But that goes to show, by the end of Friends, and I am a fan, the writing, like, it could have ended earlier, but we didn't want it to end because we liked Friends. And that's the thing, the writing wasn't necessarily the greatest, especially towards the end, but you were still watching because you liked these people.
Towards the end and throughout the beginning and middle.
You shush. But you didn't want it to end because it was genuinely, like, to a lot of people, and me as well, it was your group of friends, and you didn't want to see them go. You didn't want to leave them.
And then they reunited.
Yes.
And you got to see a lot of James Corden.
Yeah.
And some people from around the globe, and Reese Witherspoon, and and Justin Bieber, and Cara Delevingne, and a shit ton of people wasting your time.
Yeah, this is the thing. Like, if you were going to do an episode, which I do understand why you wouldn't, just put them in the fucking... Or even if you were going to rebuild the set, go ahead. Fill your boots. Just leave them in there to talk for a couple of hours. Like, if these people spent... However way you look at it, if they haven't kept in touch, if they have, if it's fake, if it's not, you spent 10 years with these people and you haven't seen them in a good considerable amount of time. Like, they were going to chat. You should have just let them chat.
And they did.
And they
because it needed that dumb, asinine, money-filled fucking gloss in the minds of James Corden and all of the dickheads who produced it.
It needed Cara Delevingne dressed as the holiday armadillo.
Yes. And that, on that...
On that note...
That was the Friends reunion.
Yep. I want you to get me to watch Friends. Please.
You had it on the other day and I stayed silent, but I still hate them.
Can I watch it tonight? We're still podcasting. You have to say yes.
No.
Oh, damn you.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.